then be addressed. In the fall time, you can start preparing your beds, raising beds, complete your end walls, and put the cover on. And again, once you have a cover on, we'll go over that later, once you have a cover on, then you'll see a totally change in the drainage pattern once the rain starts shedding on you. So rather than any drainage puts you in better position to have a highly functional system and without minimal issues relative to wetness and so forth. In late fall, once you have your cover, it's a good time to, as the season winds down, it's a good time to erect your trellis, put your irrigation, and then put your landscape fabric if that's the route you choose. And then early spring, as early as now, if you want the next following, you can put your plants in the ground. So you would have a fairly decent crop. I mean, you can do this all within 3 months of time, from April or March, April, and put your plants in May. That's possible. But it all depends on the available labor you have to work with. So, and again, this would be the ideal situation. Site planning. So what we'll be covering on aspect of what we're covering will be location, which is the most critical aspect in deciding where to put your tunnel. Because there will be things that you don't take care of initially. It will be there with you forever, whether it's probably mostly drainage issue. Orientation. A lot of research on that suggests that high tunnel should be positioned in some aspects, and we'll cover that. Slope issue, drainage running up, as I said in the soil test. Spacing. This, by the way, 95% of all pictures you see there, I'll try to make this look pretty so that you really have a sense that this is real life, this is our operation. So these are not pictures that we draw, that we pull from other websites, and so it gives you a good idea for what we do. When we first put the high tunnel, the first one in 2010, if somebody had told me we would have had a third one, I would have said no way. I mean, it was not in our plans. But if I had known that, one particular issue that we had is HT1 being high tunnel number 1. That's the first one we put. Then we add the second one, HT2. And if I had a little more foresight in the spacing of it, we would have been able to have enough space in between what says F1 to put a third one of the same size of 30 by 96. But short-sighted in terms of spacing, and now we can put another one, but it would be a 20-foot. So when you're deciding on the location of it, try to think down the road. I mean, maybe you don't have any inspiration for the second one, but pretend that you will, and so adjust accordingly. And of course, you want to take into account access to water, electricity, if you use a two-layer with a blower, and vehicle access. So I think I really did not put much thought into the first one. I just put it there thinking it was a good spot, but with limited consideration on spacing. So that's something you really would consider. Orientation. I think ultimately, and I'll go over the details, ultimately this is you have to strike a balance between what is best and what's possible. In our case, and you'll see that, we have slope, this higher point, lower point, so it was impossible for us to put it north-south. You can see west, east-west. And in our case, it turned out to be the right choice because we have tremendous prevailing wind from the west. So it puts a lot of stress on the high tunnel. So had it been north-south, it would have been very difficult to keep that high tunnel intact. So we really have to work with the soil. And again, you have to strike balance between what's best and what's possible. One advantage of an east-west orientation like ours is when you have prevailing wind, then it only hits one side of it. So it minimizes damage on the high tunnel. However, this is a high noon picture, aerial picture, and you can see the sun reflection on the two high tunnel. So guess where we have the most sun damage on our plants, where the sun hits very hard. We have much less sun damage on that side. And again, we have to work with what we have. Research shows that north-south orientation is better for high plants such as raspberries, mainly because having your north-south orientation on your high tunnel, you have a better airflow when you roll up the sides. It creates less shadow from one row to the other. Again, these plants grow to be 6, 7, 8 feet tall. and eats up faster. With the sun hitting on an entire site in the morning, it really makes a big difference. In fact, even though these are west, east-west, that one is obstructed. There's quite a few trees here that create some shadow in the morning, and that one is hit directly with the sun in the morning, coming east, and we see a significant difference in how that one warms up in the morning. And that's quite critical from early in spring and late fall when you really want to gain a lot of heat. So again, strike a balance between what's possible and what's available. So what's best. Any questions? By the way, speaking of questions, you're more than welcome to ask a question. If you think you have something more elaborated, then you're more than welcome to wait at the end. And we also will be at our table booth this afternoon. So please, you're more welcome to stop by and ask questions.
Oh,
About 15 feet. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Slope. This is one of those things. I mean, listen, we've done this for 10 years. We had high tunnels for the past 5 years plus, and I wish I would have had the knowledge back then that I have now. Of course, we all say that, right? But so please benefit from our mistakes mostly and what has worked well for us. And what has worked well for us does not necessarily mean it'll work well for you, but at least it provides you a good basis for it. Slopes. Without being too detailed here, the USDA agency that provides funding for high tunnels, which is the EQA program, recommends not to exceed a 5% slope, and that's what we have. We have a 5% slope. So higher point there, lower point here, it creates an 8-inch drop. And our low point, even though visually it may not look like that way, our lowest point is here. So the water drains from here down to the front. And where these two arrows are over here, we have a little bit of a depressed area. So guess where all the rain goes? Okay? So if you don't address that issue early on, and guess where we're losing our plants? Guess where we have root rot issues? Right there on the bottom lobes. So when I first put the high tunnel, I really never thought about that, but ultimately it became an issue. And unfortunately, drainage issue or bad drainage issue are going to be with you forever unless you really address them. Anything more than a 5%, anything more than 18, 22 feet drop really creates some issue in terms of leveling. You would not want to dig on that side to bring it level because then the rainwater will create a real bed for water there. And so you probably would have to raise this side. But no, starting to raise something that's 2 feet and leveling that's a lot of work. So consider the slope. Question, comment? Drainage. Okay, here we go. The first high tunnel I just showed you. Here's the second one. And you can see the line, the arrow, that shows the drop. And here's a little quiz for you. Now, so once you have the cover, how many gallons of water that type of high tunnel will shed with half an inch of rain? A lot. Well, yeah. Can you be a little bit more specific? Come on, give me some guess.
500 gallons.
Sorry?
1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons. Anybody else? That's not 500.
500.
I'm sorry, 500 gallons? Any guess? Above 1,000? 900 gallons. That's something I did not know. So think about this, okay? Envision this your land where you're thinking about putting 2 high tunnels. Oh, Daniel. So we have, and basically 900 gallons, 450 on each side, okay? So these are 45-gallon barrels. So basically with 1/2 an inch of rain, we're seeing 450 gallons shedding on one side, 450 on the other side, and knowing already now that we have a slope, and then we have another 450 gallons shedding there, and the other one sheds down. So that's roughly almost 1,500 gallons of water with 1/2 an inch of rain. So guess where we have root rot issue again? Right there. Does this rain shed here? That one find its way down, and this sheds over here. And that's exactly the first few rows. That's where we have root rot issues.
So
now,
last June, when we got like 15 inches of rain over 5 weeks,
pond. The pond you
Well, we
always
have
wanted.
drainage. We
Right,
tried to
right.
rectify that. So, yes, I'm sorry.
Would one way to be able to fix that be just moving your plants further away from like the edge of the greenhouse or the?
It's already 4 feet away,
Okay.
but you cannot escape rain. You cannot escape drainage. You cannot escape it. It's there if you don't fix it from the outside. So whether you move it, 10 feet in, it's still, if you have drainage, usually inside, it will stay there. Now, in light of the site preparation, as I alluded to earlier, you really want to do a soil test. You need to know what's in the ground or what's not in the ground, so that, remember, the ideal construction time or planting time would be to take care of the soil. And so this is our soil test that I'm going to get to this button. So we have HC1, HC2, we have the value for that. And these guys, Spectrum, which is there in Washington Court, I think, they will provide you with a recommendation of what to do. I don't know if all agencies will do that, but so that's critical part of your planning. Understanding your slope, your orientation, and your soil characteristics, so you can amend your soil over time. Any question on that aspect of planning?
I have a question. How often do you test your soil annually once the raspberries?
Every year, yes.
Okay.
Style. This is pretty straightforward. We have the rounded or the hoop house, which is also called Quonset, I believe, and versus the Gothic. So that is not a high tunnel. That's a picture from the website. That's ours. So the advantage of a Gothic, it will shed, because of a higher peak, it will shed snow and rain better. It will also shed the rain inside humidity because of a higher peak. It will slide down the sides as opposed to dripping on your crop. So that's another advantage. Allows you for more growing space, and we'll go over that later. And because of a higher peak, it allows for a better airflow. Now, this costs maybe $1,000 more, $1,500 more than the comparable round one, but hey, listen, we built 3 of those, and we're happy with it, so it's working good for us. But I think considering you can add height to a rounded one, but this really works well. It really works well. Construction tips. What we have done from the get-go, because again, growing berries, we're talking about needing height. It's not like growing carrots or lettuce, whatever, which is not as critical. And so what we've done is we've added 1 foot on the side post. These are typically 6 feet, then 30 inches in the ground. So we've added to a 7-foot post, which ultimately costs maybe $150 to $175 with the added cost, but it's really, really, really worth it. And then your openings, your roll-up sides with an additional 1 foot allow for better air ventilation. So all benefits. Now you may ask, why should I really do this? Besides what I was explaining, I think this will give you an idea. So this is the sides. This is yours truly. What is that? 7 feet. This is Alyssa over there, and you can see the height. So imagine if you have 1 foot less, and you have a rounded one. You really, your plants will be reaching the top. So it's really critical to gain that height, and it's worth it. It's really worth it.
So what size are yours? Are they 6 foot or 5
7
foot?
foot.
7 foot.
Yeah. This is to build wide doors and air vents. This is because I'm a little bit, don't want to spend too much money. We could have put air fans, which are relatively expensive. They work really well, of course. But the first one when we build have these openings. And it really helps with airflow. And you can control, particularly if you open up the top one without, like early spring, it really just helps the air circulate better. And if you do both on each side, or if you do those on both sides, it really helps with airflow. Again, prevailing wind coming from the back, so there's a little bit more of a wall there as opposed to high tunnel being north-south. So it really helps with airflow. It's really relatively inexpensive. I think $50 per door.